Have you tried freeform resin art? No molds, just this. Now's the time.
Right, we are back with a super easy way to make stunning jewellery using just your silicone mat. There's not many videos out there on stuff like this, and it really is just a super cheap way to make jewellery, but they still pack a punch. If you don't want to do it on your silicone mat, you can just use a silicone mould, really. It's entirely up to you, but you do want a level surface because you want what we're doing to be kind of symmetrical and round. But just make sure that whatever you are using is absolutely spotless. So this is like a bluey colour nail powder. Interference powders, mica powders, just play around. But you also need to bear in mind that because we're using UV resin, the light does need to be able to penetrate through. So with this white silicone mat, it will work really well. But if I was to use my black mat, which is underneath, the UV isn't going to penetrate through enough to cure the resin. I've put a little bit too much powder down. Never mind. There you go. Just made it a bit wider. And I'm now just going in with a separate colour. You can blend them in if you want. They look the same on camera, but they are different. Just chop and change between different colours to get different effects. Really is super easy. But just make sure there's no clumps of powder on the surface. So all we are going to do is just apply drops of resin onto that powder. That's it. That is all we're going to do. And whilst that one is pretty round, I'm going to just cure that under my lamp, 36 watts for a minute. What I'm going to do now is just apply smaller droplets around that larger one. So I cured that first one just to prevent it from working its way out too far. So these will kind of hold their form really nicely. You can go as big or as small as you like, really. That's the fun with this. And if you're doing pairs, you will get a matching pair, but you could just keep making lots, store them away, and then when it comes to making pairs, just get them all out, and you will find that you've got matching sizes, as long as you've used the right colours. But just try and fill that space as best you can. Try not to let them touch. And again, just cure. And there we have our droplets. I'm just using a toothpick. Just be careful, you don't want to pierce your silicone mat. And then we can just gently, just one by one, just peel them away. I'm doing it this way because once you've taken them all off, if you've got any other areas that you didn't want to risk dropping your resin in, such as here, you can utilize that afterwards, after you've peeled them away. Whereas if I was to lift my mat and peel them off that way, I'd probably disturb the powders that are down. And I think if you were to do a blob over these, now I've said it, I think I'm going to have to try it just to see what happens. If I were to, I don't know, place some UV resin here over these three and try and capture some of that shape. I've got a bubble. And then back it. It might give us something cool. That idea didn't really work because we're on and off the powder. The UV resin travels differently. So they've not come out round like I'd hoped they would. But we can always, I think I just went through my silicone mat there. What was I saying? I don't know. I've lost my words. But you can see the really cool detail on the back. So you can do this with epoxy as well. You're just going to have to be a little bit more patient. And then just clean off any excess powder. I just use some rubbing alcohol. Then we can just begin to place things out, really, and just see size-wise what we want to make and how we're going to make it. Really is simple. So there we can see a design where the droplets are around the same size, just chop and change between them, and then any of them that we are left over, any leftovers, just pop them in a pot and we can work with those at a later date and make something different. But again, you can make pairs once you have enough. So this is the design that we are going to be working on in this video. All I need to do really, it's up to you if you want to back them, you don't have to, but it does help bring out the colour. We're just going to back these with a black. So I'm just going to pour some of my UV resin into the mixing pot. And then a dash of black mica. Less is best to begin with because you do want it to cure. So all we need to do once our black is mixed up is just apply it to the backs. Now, you could have your own way of doing this. I find this really therapeutic. I don't mind the wobble of the piece whilst I'm doing it. I quite like the challenge, but if you'd rather not spill it over the edge, use a small amount of tack. But you don't want to scratch this powder because it will mark. So I'm just taking the surface all the way to the edge and I'm going to cover all of these. And what I would recommend you doing, especially with the smaller ones, is working on one at a time and then just giving it a part cure. Just to make sure that there's no accidents, because we can always give it a full cure at the end altogether. Okay, once they have cured, you could do this if you want to, because the backs are just going to be black. I'm not going to do it in the video, but I'll talk you through. You could just dust these with the same powder that we used on the back and then give it a clear coat. Just be careful you don't overspill. I've left a tiny little gap there. I'm just going to fill that quick. Okay, so all I need to do now is just make sure that the layout is correct again and make sure that the pieces are where I want them to be. So I want these to dangle. So I need to drill 3 holes in this piece and then 2 holes in this piece, top and bottom, same here and same here, and then just 1 hole in the top of these because these will be the bottom 3 pieces. I'm just using my hands drill with the smallest drill bit that I have. If you want to do this with an electric one, that's entirely up to you. I'm just doing it the way that I like to do it. And just make sure the holes are in the right places. So I would start at the top hole, which is where we're going to mount either our pendant, bail or earring. It's entirely up to you what you want to make with it. I would start there and then go straight down the bottom so it's symmetrical and in line, which is going to be where this one starts. So we're going to keep that in line. Worry about that section first. Honestly, it's nothing to worry about, because if you go wrong, you're going to have lots more pieces probably stored in your little pot that you could just make up if you do make a mistake. But just keep it in line on the middle row first. And I don't want to show the front at the moment. Well, I'm going to flip mine and drill through the front. And once I have a good hold on the resin with the drill, I like to just hold mine straight and then just slowly drill through, turning my drill. It doesn't take long at all. And again, I enjoy doing it this way instead of using my battery powered hand drill. It's just relaxing. You know, I'm here all day. You do it however you like. So now I have my 2 holes in the top section, 2 in these 3 and the solo ones there. I haven't yet drilled the 2 holes either side for these side droplets. The reason for that is because I need to work out roughly where I need to drill the holes so they're not going to interfere so much with the middle drop, if that makes sense. So I'm going to line them up roughly. So I think I need to drill here and the same over the other side. So they're going to I'm probably going to need more jump rings, but it's not a problem because I can always bring this one down to where I want it. So to less interference, I mean, I could move that over if I wanted to, but bring this one down, which I might actually do. So they're spaced a bit better. So it's just working out exactly where we want these drops to be before we drill these final holes. So now I can bring those down a bit. So I'm going to drill here and I'm going to drill here. So there you can see the rough layout. Things could change a little bit as I'm putting things together. Now I'm going to be just using small jump rings. It's not going to look brilliant, but if you've got old chain line around, you could use jump rings and then interchange and have a small section of chain in between the jump rings. Just cut them down. This is just a cheap one. It is entirely up to you how you do this, but I am just going to be patient and just use these small jump rings that I've got. Just using my pliers and just close them up on these bottom three. So that's one, I've just closed it. I'm going to do the other two. And if after you've mounted your jump rings there's not a big enough gap for the next jump ring, just go up a size on these ones. So all of these jump rings are now closed. I've got one on the bottom set, two on the middle set, and those. All I need to do now is just, as I go, just begin to link them up one by one. Once they are all connected, I'm not 100% happy with it. It didn't go as well as my first try, which I'll show you in a moment. But all we need to do is just now attack. Attack? We don't want to attack it. Attach. Just a pinch bowl. Now these are really, really good to get in like a multiple size set. They really are good. And if the prongs are too long, you can just snip them down a little bit if you need to. Then just pop it on a necklace of your choice. As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you haven't subbed, hit that button for me. It's not one of my greatest videos, I know, but I wanted to share this one because I quite enjoyed making it, if I'm completely honest with you. It's really therapeutic to make, and it can be completely random until we start piecing the bits together. That's when it becomes something. Oh, where's the two that I actually made with the weird hither? They're not perfectly round, but they could always be used for something. I think they're really cool the way. They could be the highlight of the video, you never know. They could be made into something. So there it is as a pendant. It's got a really nice colour change to it in different light. And this one is the earring that I told you about. I could have drilled the outer holes a little bit further apart, I think, because they are touching a little bit, but there you go. And I just used, again, a pinch bail, but attached that to the earring loop. But let me show you something else, because I've been having a little bit of fun since filming this with what I showed you about utilizing the rest of the space. And as you can see, it's pretty incredible. If you want this in a separate video, let me know in the comments, because we can have some amazing fun with this one. I think I've already had quite a bit of fun with it already. I prefer it to what I've just shown you in this video. Right, I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.